Well, for my fourth and last number, I'm going to play a little... I have a request. See, I did a couple of months ago on a television show. Thank you. Something... You saw it, huh? Something that explained how the modern composers nowadays compose the modern song hit. I'm not going to do that again because I did it, but now I'm going to show you how the old masters were inspired to some of their favorite compositions. You know, for instance, Chopin, you know, he composed the minute waltz so that every morning he could play it 3 times in the kitchen so his wife would cook the eggs the way he wanted and so on. Beethoven, Harry S. Beethoven. You know, he composed the Moonlight Sonata for the girl and so on. But he also wrote the Minuet in G. And he was inspired by a new housekeeper they had. He was sitting one day noodling around at the piano, you know, and just wait a minute, I want to see if it's in tune. Yeah, that's all right. He was noodling around a little, but he didn't know exactly. Then he saw this new housekeeper come in, and he had the inspiration for the Minuet in G. 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 Well, he died later. Now, then there was a famous composer who had a girlfriend, and she was kind of, she had a hiccup. You know, she was a famous dancer, a ballet dancer, but she suffered from hiccups. So every time she danced, she had these horrible hiccups, and that was very annoying. So he composed a little piece of music for her so that when she danced, she could do her hiccups so nobody would notice them. Well, he died, too. Then there was Strauss, you know, Joey Strauss. He was... Yeah. Well, Joey Strauss... Wait a minute. Well, this is television. You have to look kind of decent. He composed the Blue Daniel. And he got this inspiration by eating cherries and spitting out the pits. Very simple. So on and so forth. But he'll never die. Well, then we come to Franz Liszt. As people call him Schlitz, because he was one of the famous composers who made Milwaukee famous. And he also... he composed the second Hungarian Rhapsody. As a matter of fact, I came here tonight to play a serious piece of music, and we're going to play it any minute now. Just let me finish this thing here. If I ever get through with it. But now, see, Franz Schlitz was inspired to his second Hungarian Rhapsody, number 2, because he already had written the first one. And then, see, he was invited to a party, and on his way there, he was inspired. And he was so excited, so when he came in the house there, he rushed over to the piano because he wanted to see what it sounded like. He wanted to see what it sounded like. Wait a minute. Why didn't he want to listen to what it looked like? Well, that is English, and that has nothing to do with mine. Well, anyway, he rushed over to the piano, and all the guests came over to shake hands with him. How do you do, Mr. Schlitz? You know, he was so famous and so on and so. And he had to make a lot of pauses, and that's why the beginning of the second Hungarian Rhapsody have so many pauses. That were precious. Well, how do you do? Well, how do you do? Nice to see you. Well. Well. Later. Now, don't overdo it now. Later. Well, we'll wait till later. Later the same evening. That thing is a little drafty. You better put it in. Later the same evening, he had something to eat and drink, but he had most to drink because he wasn't very hungry. And that is why the second part of this Hungarian Rhapsody is a little gay, if I may say. And I may. Gets ill, you know, in the last movement. Now, for the little piece of music we have cooked up together, we are going to... Yeah, I'm going to hurry up now. And, I'm going to... Well, you have... We have to hurry up because we haven't got more of that. And, for my last number now, I'm going to play excerpt from Rachmaninoff's Second Piano Concerto No. 2 by Rachmaninoff, who also wrote the music, by the way. We play excerpts because we don't know the whole thing. Oh, I have to explain this to you. This is very important. This concerto was originally written for 90-piece orchestra. For some reason, we seem to be about 77 short. Only the sponsor can answer to that one. Yeah, there's another thing. This is very important. I have to explain this to you. There's one important thing about Tchaikovsky I want you to know. No, not Tchaikovsky. Who may I play? Oh, Rachmaninoff. That's the one. That's the right one. There's one important thing about Rachmaninoff I want you to know, and that is that I don't play him very well. Thank you. Now, when you hear... This is important. When you hear this... It's Rachmaninoff's Second Piano Concerto. When you hear this, that is the introduction to it. And when you hear this... That's the main theme. Then when you hear this... Then there's definitely something wrong, because that's Tchaikovsky. So, we'll begin. Here we go. Maestro, ready? Are you ready? Fine. I'm not. Wait a minute. Here we go.